And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open for sales and service Monday through Saturday. And of course, you could see their vast array of vehicles in their inventory at any time by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. And thanks to Great Lakes Honda City for over a decade of vehicles for me, as well as my family being served by Great Lakes Honda City. And I'm very happy with my 2025 Honda CRV, black on black on black on black. So happy to be here with you. And of course, this edition of the Bobcat Buzz in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Bryant Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. I'm here with head coach of the Bryant Stratton Syracuse men's soccer program, Stewart Flaherty, and him and I have had the opportunity to break bread. The last time we spoke, we were on site on location at Mother's Cupboard, where he tried my Cuse Mac Mother bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast sandwich that's there 7 days a week. And now we are back here for an all-new Bobcat Buzz to talk about a lot of different things, speaking on building the Bryant Stratton Syracuse program, new endeavors for him, and bringing it all together. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me again, Dan. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, happy to have you, and looking forward to our conversation. To go to the building part first, just what you could say to those efforts in the spring, because as soon as you came into Bryant Stratton, well, before you even officially signed on, Johnny Zamora and you had dinner, and obviously you met with Brooke, you met with Mary, and forward from there, when you did sign on and you did come to campus, you hit the ground running. Not only were you having the guys working out throughout the week, but you were filming it. You were letting people see it. And from my point of view, in the broadcast world, in the media world, we had never seen the team training. So I'd love to get into how you hit the ground running in training and why it was so important to have the training you had and also to showcase it publicly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very eventful spring, right? It feels like I've done a season and I haven't. But obviously the early movement was getting Johnny his preseason game with the Indy 11, which was a tremendous success.
Yeah.
Johnny's currently, he's been found in a really unique situation. I don't know if I've ever known of anything like this in American soccer, but he was due in with preseason with a NISA Pro team, which is a third tier league. And then the league shifted their start date from April to August, which is fairly dramatic. So to stay in shape and revisit that in August, Johnny will actually be down here with me playing in Texas over the summer for Denton. And then we had the process of putting all the current guys on their summer teams because they're well aware if they want to do the type of thing Johnny's doing, you need a summer resume as well as a fall resume. So we got guys in the UPSL, we got guys in the NPSL, we got guys playing USL 2 who think they're going to beat me in the playoffs, which is fun. But yeah, that all set up pretty nicely. The training sessions were what they were. I never feel like you've covered even 2/3 of what you want to cover.
Yeah.
I look back over 2-3 months and it just feels like the progress we made. To me, it wasn't enough in terms of the games looking like we want them to look. There was 3 games which results-wise were disappointing. There was a fairly dramatic curve in terms of we were looking at defensive shape, we were looking at forcing turnovers in the opposing half,
Yeah.
and there was 2 total in game 1, which is all kinds of pathetic. And then I stopped counting after 20 in game 3. So we made, progress in aspects of the game. But I mean, there's no hiding from the fact that when the fall comes around, we're going to have to put the defensive shape, the possession, and then the quality and the attacking third together a lot better than we have in the spring. We scored 2 goals in 3 games, and that's just not going to get it done. I think another little bit of complexity within the locker room. There was a couple of guys, I think, in hindsight, I made the best effort, but they didn't really want to be here. So they won't be in the fall, and I think there'll be a fresher energy for it.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it wasn't exactly the spring that you wanted it to have, but you had the opportunity to get the team out there and see what they could do offensively, defensively, what they were like in practice, what they were like when they were around each other, and like you said, within the locker room, finding a couple pieces that maybe didn't fit. Where are things at as you head out of the spring and continue to put this roster together? What can you say to the pieces that are left and just the transitionary period of trying to make sure that you have the culture you want?
I think we have a good roster. I don't think we have good depth
Okay.
as of today. Now, I'm, holding myself to the standard that there between now and the first game kicking off, there'll be 8 to 10 new faces coming in. So that will change things. But I think we've got a situation now where we have a strong lineup. I believe a very strong lineup. Will it last 3 months of the season? They rarely do then. Losses of form, discipline, injuries, fitness. So I like to be too deep at every position, and we're certainly not there yet. And I also think there has been a mental dynamic at play that I didn't realize until that we were into the spring, where the good players, the good attitudes, the guys who I'm going to rely on and I really believe in, they're not under enough pressure. They could have a bad week or two of practice as of right now and probably last fall, and they're still going to be in the lineup, and that's not healthy. It's one of those things that when you're young, you think you want that.
Yeah.
But then when you look back on a situation like that in hindsight, you haven't been pushed. There hasn't been that tension in the elastic band that there needs to be, metaphorically. And we might be a little bit comfortable. I don't know if I would say complacent is the word, but I think it's too comfortable to do the things we want to do in the fall, and it's certainly too comfortable to get them ready for the chaotic environments that they aspire to go in after college.
Yeah, like you said, some of these guys are not getting maybe pushed enough or tested enough, and because you don't have the depth that maybe when you would take them out, you couldn't take them out right now. So building that depth and building those pieces and building that element. I know you said you want to be too deep at every position and you want to bring in at least 8 guys. What can you say about the recruiting trail, where you're at right now, the message that you're sending as the new coach that is trying to lead a program?
We're kind of about to open a new recruiting avenue, because I've been to showcases in New Hampshire, New York. We've got a lot of open leads where we're going to get to the time where we've been talking long enough. They might have a deadline put on them to make a decision or not. But Texas is about to open up to us. With me being here for 3 months, this is a really interesting recruiting ground that we wouldn't be able to afford typically. So there's, every single weekend that could be in a league game. There's 3 really blue ribbon tournaments while I'm here that I'll be attending. There's some tremendously strong community colleges here that I'm looking to. Community college is a relationship game. That my timing of coming in made it really tough this current community college JUCO cycle, because those national finals in November, December, and you have to recruit. And then if you're dealing with a situation where the college has a relationship with a coach you're recruiting against, it can be tough. So I think opening up Texas and getting some relationships there from the JUCO level could really help down the line.
Yeah, and you talk about being down in Texas, which leads me into this, and I want to make note of this because we haven't talked about it yet on the show. Taking over, becoming the head coach of the Denton Diablos FC. They put out a message here, said, "Familia, meet our newest member, Stewart Flaherty, a championship coach, joins a championship club, makes sense to us." And then there is a quote from you. I'm absolutely thrilled, from the co-owner here that came out. So the co-owner says, "I am absolutely thrilled to announce Stewart Flaherty as a Denton Diablos head coach and help navigate our step up to USL2. Stewart has found success at every level he's ever coached at, including at the professional soccer levels, as evidenced by his NISA championship in 2022. We're confident he'll have the same results in Denton and can't wait to get him in town and get started." And then you said, "I'm excited about Denton and the environment built by Damon," who is the co-owner that I just mentioned here. "It's a club looking to provide opportunity and build bridges between where players are and where they want to go. This philosophy is, I believe, the most exciting thing a club can be built on. I expect every session and game to be a demonstration of the best both the staff and players are capable of. The ability to do this always leads to positive results and future opportunity. Up the Diablos." End quote. So I'd love to get your thoughts on this because you and I have not spoken about this on the air. So first and foremost, congratulations. And
Thank
secondly,
you.
just you're welcome. How the Denton Diablos FC came about and this opportunity you have down in Texas.
I'll be honest, I agreed this before Bryant Stratton with Damon and spoke to Brooke and Mary, and they could see the tie together of the effectively free recruiting in Texas
Yeah.
with me already being here, and also with the message it sends to players. You know, it's words can be overrated, but if I want a locker room full of people who are aspiring to be the best version of themselves, who are playing in the fall, who are not taking the summers off and playing in the summers, I'm a full believer I should be doing the exact same thing. And that is what I'm doing. I think it'll make me a better coach. And it's really interesting because I just talked to you about lack of depth. It's the opposite here, man. You know, I sat with Damon upon arrival, and there's seven centre backs, and one of them is an alumni who was drafted and released, and four more of them play D1 college soccer. So like, it's loaded down here. We've got two fields. We've got 50 to 55 players between the two fields, and we got a mini pro rel system of players moving up and down the fields as the season goes along. So yeah, it's depth is not an issue in Denton. It's the opposite. If anything, it's quite overwhelming that I'm going to be have to give these guys or as many as of my can. I frankly don't think it's possible to do it for 50 guys, but give them the full attention that I've been giving the Bryant and Stratton kids in the spring with regards to their individual performance and goals and development. But it's like I'm coaching both ends of the rainbow right now. I've got a college team where I'm worried the starters aren't under enough pressure. And then we got this summer team where we have no idea, genuinely no idea who the starters are. Now, I'd much rather Bryant Stratton be on the Denton end of things, to be quite honest with you, and have too many people rather than not enough. But you play the hand you dealt in life.
Yeah. And speaking about their move up to USL2 here, and we look at USL2, there's the Central Conference with the Great Lakes Division, the Valley Division, the Great Forest Division, the Great Plains Division, and the Heartland Division. The Eastern Conference with the Chesapeake, as well as the Metropolitan Divisions, the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and the South Atlantic. And then we have the Southern Conference with the South Florida Division that we have here. There's so many, like going through USL2, I don't think people fully understand. It's like having a ton of leagues within just one grouping here. And when we look at the Southern, we have the South Florida, the Southeast, we have the South Central, and the Mid-South, which is where the Denton Diablos are in the Mid-South Division with Hattiesburg FC, LaCrue FC, Little Rock Rangers, Mississippi Brilla FC, McKinney, Chupacabras FC, and Red River FC. And then there's the Lone Star Division there. And then we still have the Western Conference with the Northwest, the NorCal, the Mountain Division, the Southwest. The USL2 series, I mean, I'm looking at this from the sense of covering like the NBA, the NFL, the MLB. This feels like three leagues have been formed into one with all these divisions together. I mean, I feel like you could just take one of the conferences and the divisions within that conference and have more than enough action. What can you say to the USL2, what it is, and just the vastness of just taking over the country?
If you speak into the average US sports fan, it's minor league baseball is what it is.
Yeah.
It's the highest level of soccer a college kid can play without losing his eligibility and sign a professional contract, and it's the first league that players turn to when they drop out of the pro game and they're looking to go back in. So like it's one tier below pro soccer, and if you want an example of the level, there's a team in our division. You just said Little Rock. They played the USL Championship Birmingham Legion in the Open Cup, and they beat them. And it wasn't the only USL2 team to beat a pro team in the Open Cup. So it's a high level of soccer, but it can be quite transitory. You know, the clubs in themselves have identities, but obviously, if you're a really good player, you could be in USL2, but you won't be in it for long. You know, I coached USL2. It was then called the PDL when I lived in Maine. I did 8 seasons with the Portland Phoenix, and we played against Andrew Wenger, who was a future MLS draft pick. We played against CJ Sapong, who was a future first-round draft pick. We had 62 guys play for us and go sign pro. Aaron Schoenfeld played in the Europa League for Maccabi Tel Aviv. So it's an elite level of player that you're getting. You're just getting them 2 or 3 years ahead of their curve where they'll hit mainstream fame. But there was a stat while I was in Maine that over 90% of domestic players, so US-born players drafted in the MLS, played their summer ball in USL2, which was then the PDL. So it is I see it as the top AAA minor league baseball of the soccer world.
Yeah, and when you see all these conferences and all these divisions within the conference, like you said, I mean, how do you kind of break it down? I mean, because you're playing within your division, right? And then you have your conference and whatnot. But just what you could say about kind of what your takeaways are of the expectation and kind of the road through the season, so to speak.
I mean, no, it's the worst cliche in the world, but it's game at a time. Like, it really is. It's overwhelming, and you don't have the time to do anything other than scratch the surface if you're going to try and scout 80, 90 teams. It's like we've got a small handful of teams in our region, in our conference, sorry. We've got the first 2 games worth of teams, and all of our scouting of opposition will be them. And everything else we do will be either scouting players or it will be our identity and our playing philosophy and getting that together.
Yeah.
And then as you get into the season, you learn your league. But then usually when you make the playoffs in the USL2, it's, a week-long project in getting to know this new team from out of region as well as you can. Usually you'd watch 2 or 3 games and you make minor adjustments, but you've got your identity pretty set in terms of who you are and what you are as a team by then. But you could probably win a USL2 national championship, Dan, and never scout 2/3 of the teams in the league. Because it'd be like be like Syracuse, right? You play in the ACC, you learn the ACC in and out, and then if you go on a national championship run, you just deal with the teams one at a time as they come.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to put it, and it makes it really simple, right? Especially coming off of March Madness and that NCAA tournament, the bracket being something that a lot of people can identify and understand. For you to take this opportunity, and like you said, you accepted this before you accepted the job at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, the bridging the gap. Like you said, it's the highest form of soccer you can play in America without losing your status to be a student athlete in college. So I can see, obviously, that's kind of building into the answer to my question, I'm sure, but just what this does for you to have the Denton Diablos in USL2, have Bryant Stratton Syracuse in the USCAA, and how these can mutually help each other.
I'm a believer in if you get right to the core, it's about reps, right? I don't believe it's like there is lucky coaches around. I don't believe there is inherent genius as coaches around. I believe there is people that study and train and run teams and come into situations and navigate them. And it's the more reps, the better you are. Just the fact that I have 2 seasons instead of one is a massive plus for me. I don't like the college concept of an 8-month off season. I know we got the spring, but it's like not really the same. And it suits my lifestyle better. I'm happy when I'm in season twice instead of once. And I'm just being the best version of Stu Flaherty, I think, pursuing the highest level of competition I can.
Yeah, and for you to have that, like you said, I mean, you told the guys you don't want them to take any days off. You having this team helps you to have that standard as well for yourself. This bridge for you, for the student athletes, we spoke about Johnny Zamora, but when you're at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse and you built all of these relationships you've already won a championship in Michigan, you have these bonds and these connections. But now Denton gives you another place to recruit. It also gives you another place to bring the players from Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. So just bring me into that, how you can utilize recruiting of a student athlete out of high school right now to say, not only can I bring you to Bryant Stratton, but I have avenues for you beyond that.
I mean, that's what it is, right? It's a network of doors after graduation. And plan A, if a guy wants to go pro, we'll try and do that for him. Michigan, Savannah, Indianapolis got strong ties there. Got strong ties in England with a coach/director of football who came out to run our sessions in the spring. For the guys who don't make it and they want to keep trying, there isn't a better league than USL2. So there'll be direct access to my Denton team. And obviously there's no compliance issues when, like, Johnny's never going to play for Bryant Stratton again. if they were playing for Bryant Stratton and coming back in the fall, that's illegal. But for a graduated player, it's just one more to a ever-growing network of options to open doors and put our players in situations and see what they can make out of them.
And for you, what have you enjoyed the most when you look at every kind of stop that you've been at to be with the Denton Diablos right now? What has this specific club done to challenge Stewart Flaherty? What have they kind of brought out of you already?
They don't have to challenge me yet because we haven't played any games yet, right? But like Damon is very enlightening. He's a very intelligent guy. He's got great ideas. They have a wonderful social media presence. They have a team star in the middle of the city of Denton. He's got a tremendous amount of pride in the city he represents rather than, just like, hey, man, we're a soccer team, let's get through the summer. I think he sees it as part of the community, and I think a good part of the community sees that back in him. And I like being around that energy. He takes a lot of pride in the club. His son is on the roster, so there's family ties to the club. So challenged isn't the word yet, but motivated, enlightened. That's happened for sure.
Yeah, like you said, the season hasn't started yet. You have the depth. You have, like you said, coming in with 7 center backs and whatnot. Being with this team, being with this club, being with this group, as you prepare, how are you kind of still living in both worlds? Because like you said, you're recruiting, you're going out to different pieces here, you're utilizing Texas, which is something that Bryant Stratton, Syracuse may have not have had without you being there. So how are you living in this world of the season hasn't begun yet for both?
The recruiting is like, it's not a separate work, right? I'll watch a recruiting game at whatever level, and I'm either seeing players that could help Bryant Stratton, players that help the Denton Diablos, or players that could help the Indy 11. That is a never-ending, round-the-clock sort of endeavor. In terms of both worlds, we train at 7 a.m. here in Texas, so I still attend to staff meetings via Zoom. And if I was to say Bryant and Stratton have gave me one responsibility right now, it's to recruit.
Yeah.
We've got to get that class in, got to get those players in, got to expand the roster. I mean, the kids are in final exams right now, and then they graduate this weekend and they're off campus. So it is whether or not it's a remote job, it's a very hands-off job in the summer to be a college coach. Even when I was at Dartmouth, we wouldn't see our players. We'd go around recruiting at ID camps and what have you. So yeah, it's almost the calendar's perfect. If this was a winter or spring league, it would be a problem. But this is the best league in America for college players, and they know exactly what they're doing when they set the start and end dates.
Yeah, and like you said, it's this perfect opportunity for you to kind of take it all in. And like you said, you're recruiting for Bryant Stratton, Syracuse, you're recruiting for the Denton Diablos, you're recruiting for Indy 11. What is the best part of that for you because I know you're always watching film and all hours of the night you're watching matches and whatnot. What kind of is that thing that gets you, that kind of fire in your belly that never goes away when you're going through this recruiting? What keeps you passionate? What keeps putting wood on the fire?
I don't know the answer there, to be honest with you, because like sometimes I love it. Sometimes I genuinely love it, and sometimes I feel like I have to do it, and I don't really feel like it. But you know what? We're watching this game today, and we're making the notes, so it's like emotionally and motivation-wise, it goes up and down. But I do sort of see coaching as what my calling was and what my purpose is, and if I was to just not do anything in a day, I believe that would be a wasted day. And recruiting, it's not a part of every day, but it's a part of most days. The only time recruiting is probably not front and center is the fall season. When you're playing your games, you're still doing it then, but you're not driving around, you're not traveling. But I mean, if you can't recruit and you can't build a team and you can't build players, your floor is never set because you can always get worse than you think. But your ceiling is set if you don't recruit well. There is a certain level you won't ever reach, no matter how hard you work in the fall, if you haven't brought in the right level of talent and mindset and athlete.
Yeah, and like you said, that developmental piece of it and the passion that you have for that, for the growth of that, and the fact that you're not the only voice in the room. Like you said, you bring people in to talk to your teams. You want other people there. You want other voices. Why, for you, did somebody kind of show you that? Is that something that you saw in the past that another club, a coach or a manager is going to bring
I think it's the
somebody
best
in?
way to do things. I mean, it's just you see it sometimes with a coach where they always just don't want anyone but themselves to talk to their team, and
Right.
I can't sugarcoat it. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's childlike. I think it's insecure, and I think you're actually saying that my voice is enough for all of these humans to reach their potential, which I believe is the most absurd level of arrogance you could ever have. Like, I know a lot. I have studied this game for decades now, so it's not that I'm a genius, but I've got a pretty decent head start on these kids
Yeah.
in terms of what I know and can teach them. But there are people all over this world that know more than me. And if we've got a chance to get them in front of the players and to speak about their experiences and even to give a kid two contrasting ideas, shock horror, right? And have the kid actually understand why we use one and not the other. This is evolution. This is education. This is the only way I think to teach things to the top level, where whatever sport it is. A big role model of mine, and not in terms of personality because he's way cooler than me, but Deion Sanders. I've seen it all over. There's Marshall Falk in there now. Terrell Owens has been in there. Denzel Washington's on FaceTime to the team. This is how you teach people to ascend and aspire.
Yeah, and I love that, and I love the fact that you admitted that, because I've seen coaches that don't want any other voice, and then I've seen coaches that welcome having those voices there. You and I always speak philosophically. We get deeper into the different pieces of things. We've talked about recruiting. We've talked about having different voices there and whatnot. For you, in the silent moments, in the moments where you're sitting in your apartment and the season hasn't begun yet, what fills your silent moments when you have them?
Imagination, usually. Like, what's it going to look like? What's going to go well? What's not going to go well? What's going to be a problem we need to fix that we can get out in front of? And what is a reason that we will win? Just like a constant cycle of imagining things, and you've always got to battle human nature because human nature is always going to tell you you're going to get beat, and every team's going to be so good, and they're all going to be better than you, and they're all going to be faster and stronger than you, which is just something that was put in there in our instincts and nature that we battle against. But it's just trying to be logical and strategic about planning what's next. That's what usually fills the silent moments.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, you always have that thought, that imagination and whatnot. When you were saying that, I was picturing you kind of just like looking up at the ceiling, like in bed at night, and,
I've
and
done
I'm
that
just and I'm
before,
seeing
brother.
equations and whatnot. What?
I've done that before.
Yeah.
But, also, who the Dallas Cowboys are going to draft is taking up a few silent moments lately.
Yeah, I mean, and the Cowboys definitely need some help. You're down in Denton, Texas. I know of Denton because I cover the University of North Texas Mean Green, but I have not physically been to Denton. I have been to the Irving area. I have been to kind of like the development. They're like building a city that's Irving, but it's not. So I've been to like that area. I've been to Dallas. I've been to Fort Worth, and I have also been to Arlington. So I've seen in the last couple of years some good pieces of Texas. And years ago, I saw Houston. And the last time I went to the Final Four was 2016 when I was down there in Houston and I saw Syracuse within the Final Four for men's basketball. So, what can you say about being down in Texas and your takeaways from Denton up to this point?
That University of North Texas Stadium is beautiful. Really, really nice. The football stadium. Drove past that. There is a high school that looks like a D1 college, and Jason Witten is the head football coach, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
It's actually, fun fact, when Sean Payton was suspended and he spent a year coaching high school. Do you remember that one in the news? It
Yeah, I
was
think
it,
I think Kevin James did a Netflix movie playing Sean Payton for
right.
that.
So it's Liberty Christian. It's here in Denton. So like driving past that was pretty cool. I like the sun, Dan. I like the sun shining. It's nice to go outside and feel the sun on you. I'm a big Cowboys fan. There's a lot of Cowboys stuff around. So I mean, I'm like not even 72 hours deep here yet, so I don't have too strong an opinion for them. But it's nice.
Yeah, and I was gonna say well, I will tell you this: if you go to Arlington, the Hurtado and it's Hurtado. Hurtado has the best, in my opinion. Like I literally. So when you're laying in bed thinking about plays, I'm laying in bed thinking about Hurtado's tostadas. You have to go to Hurtado, which is not too far from the Texas Rangers Stadium.
I'll make a deal. You come visit and we'll go there. Is that an equal investment of effort?
It is. It's by far an equal investment because Texas. Because the American Athletic was in Rhode Island when they were the old Big East, and then during COVID they moved their headquarters to Irving, Texas, and then I'm down there for the AAC kickoff for football, and then obviously they have different things that are going on with the American Athletic for women's basketball, men's basketball for their tournaments. So there's a lot of elements with the American Athletic that's down there. I also have a connection to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. I have a connection to Scotty Rogers, who's over there, and obviously to the AT&T Stadium, the Dallas Cowboys, and all of that kind of coming through the collegiate side of things in the college football playoff. So I have been building kind of quietly my bridge to Texas.
Nice.
So yeah, so you and I, you have my word that we can figure out a time where I can come down to Texas and we could spend some time together and do some fun stuff down in the Lone Star State.
Let's do it.
So, final piece here with Stewart Flaherty in this edition of the Bobcat Buzz here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, and of course in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. Stu Flaherty, the head coach of the Denton Diablos FC in USL 2, and of course of your Bryant Stratton College Bobcats men's soccer program. We're going to play some rapid fire. You get to ask the first question. Fire when ready.
Who are the Cowboys going to draft?
Oh boy. Cowboys, I think we'll see the Cowboys who they should and who they will. We're talking Jerry Jones bad decision making brain and then what they should do. Jerry Jones will probably take maybe an offensive lineman or a D lineman. He should take, in my opinion, Ashton Genty, and should get a running back. The Dallas Cowboys are one of the only teams in the NFL right now that does not have a starting running back, in my opinion. So if Ashton Genty, who hails from Jacksonville, Florida, is not going to go to the Jaguars, then may he go to the Dallas Cowboys, who may have to trade up a couple spots to get him.
Well, Dallas don't have a starter in their own opinion either, because 2 years ago, Rico Dowdle was second, third string, and Zeke was an aging backup. So I think that's a fair statement that they don't have a running back.
Nothing like bringing in Zeke and then letting him go and then bringing him back and pretending and telling the fans like this was our good move to fix our backfield when this is the guy we were willing to let go. And then the guy that we let go, when we let go of Zeke and kept the other guy, Tony Pollard, Jerry's telling the world, well, we're going to get rid of Zeke because Tony's outperforming him. From my point of view, they keep him for 2 years. They let him go to Tennessee. Then Rico Dowdle, who is the backup to the backup, is now supposed to start. Then you got Deuce Vaughn. Just draft Ashton Genty. Just do it. Do it so I can have peace. that's all I
mean, let's not leave it unaddressed that Deuce Vaughn is the son of a Dallas Cowboys scout.
Yes, absolutely. And they did make sure that they drafted him and, like Bronny and LeBron. So my question back to you, Stu, with you being a Cowboys fan, which Cowboy currently on the roster that makes a lot of money would you keep? And which one would you let go? We know the big players in Dallas. Which one do you keep? Which one do you send away?
Yeah, I mean, God, it's brutal, isn't it? I would keep Micah Parsons. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is Dallas. I've seen good players in Dallas, right? Like CD's amazing, but CD was the number 2 when Amari Cooper was flying in Dallas. So like we have seen a better Dallas team with CD not as the one guy. There's very, very few players that have done what Micah Parsons has done for Dallas. I think Micah's only problem is he's on a paper-thin, tremendously weak defensive unit. So even though he's perceived as one of the best players in the NFL, I think he's still better than the perception.
Yeah.
because it's an awful defense. And if you put Micah Parsons like on the Chiefs, wow, that will be something. You put him on the old Rams with Aaron Donald. I don't even think we've seen the ceiling for Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
The thought of that defense without him is painful. I just don't think enough points can be scored to win any games without Micah Parsons in Dallas.
Okay. So that's the one you keep. What big ticket player do you let go?
There's only two left, right? Is it CD or Dak?
Yeah.
Probably Dak. And I do like Dak. I'm not on the Dak out bandwagon, but I think you could draft somebody,
Yeah.
do what Dak did, just like he did as a fourth round rookie, by the way, before you can draft somebody to do what Lamb does.
Okay. All right. I can agree with that. I can agree with keep Micah, consider getting rid of Dak. I can understand that. What's your next question for me?
You could play fairy godmother for yourself and have one sporting event happen this summer to make you happy. What would it be?
So I can play fairy godmother for myself.
You can fix the result of one sporting event this summer.
This summer. Oh my goodness.
I'll give you the fall too if there's nothing in the summer.
Okay, yeah, give me the fall. I would say, yeah, because my Raptors aren't in the NBA playoffs and my Ducks are not in the NHL playoffs. So I would say Syracuse makes the college football playoff. That would be my fairy godmother thing because they got to go. They got to play Tennessee on neutral ground. Then they got to go at Notre Dame, at Miami, at SMU, at Clemson. So almost their entire road schedule is insane. So
well, the upside is they have the chance to do it with that schedule. It won't be like UCF winning all those games and claiming the national champions if it was UCF.
Yeah,
somebody a couple of years ago went like 13-0.
Yeah, UCF had so they did something almost impossible. They went undefeated, losing an entire coaching staff in back-to-back years. I think they won 25 games in a row before they lost the bowl game by 8 to LSU on the West Coast. But Syracuse, yeah, if they can make the college football playoff, I would be so happy. So my question back to you, Stu. Okay, how about this? Namesake. If you were to put together the perfect stew as a meal, what would be in your stew?
Potatoes.
Okay.
Got to be there. Some form of meat. Ground beef.
Okay.
Brussels sprouts, strangely. Big fan.
Okay. Okay.
How many more do I need? Because I feel like in my head I'm pretty close to it.
Whatever you want. If that's it, that's it.
Yeah, we're going to go with that.
Okay, Brussels sprouts, ground beef, and potatoes in your stew. All right, what's your final question?
Boring, but like it just.
I love that. I love that. You said it all, and then you're like, "All right, I'm good with that," and then you're like, "That's so boring."
All right, I got a question then.
Yeah.
Favorite athlete of all time from Syracuse?
Their autographs are next to each other in my studio right now.
You can't have two, so you're picking a favorite right now.
I know. There's three on my mind.
Who's the three?
John Wallace, Floyd Little, Donovan McNabb.
Right, I like Dak and CD and Micah, so you did this to me. Let's go. Who's getting cut?
Okay, so because he has been an integral part in helping me at my crossroad when I started my business, Floyd will be at the top. May he rest in peace. Second will be John Wallace. His laugh is incredible. And third would be Donovan because I don't know Donovan as well as I know the other two. And I count Floyd and John as friends. So I would say Floyd, then John, then Donovan.
Nice.
Okay. So my question back to you. So that was your third. So my third question for you. Okay. Here we go. If you were the athletic director at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. So Brooke, I love you, but you're going to take over for the day. Okay? You're going to start a new program, a new sport.
Oof.
What sport do you call me to be the head coach for? And what celebrity would you let be my assistant?
And it has to be a sport we don't have.
Yeah.
Trying to think of the sports we don't have. I don't think I'd want football. Just like starting football from scratch seems impossible. With the roster size and the expense of the staff and maybe flag football with Deion Sanders. No. Let me think. I'm going back to the other two schools I was at, Dartmouth and Bates, and thinking of sports we had that aren't at Bryant Stratton. I'm going to go ice hockey.
Okay.
Probably no easier than football, to be honest with you, right? In terms of getting started. But you coaching ice hockey with Will Ferrell. That'll be fun as hell.
All I can.
Shades of glory.
Yeah, and it also makes me think of when he lets the bear out for the basketball game, God. And you just hear, and it gets really quiet, and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "Everyone, just be quiet. If you don't move, I could find him." And the lights are out, and he's like, "Dewey, precious." I just remember him going, just trying to whistle at him and stuff.
That's a great movie. Mom! I remember if you find a small child, use it as a shield while the bear was running around.
Yeah. And I do have my moments where I just lean back and I'm like, "Mom, the meatloaf, what is she doing?" I never know what she's doing. So what is your final, I have my final question for you. What is your final question for me?
Final question for you. You could go back in time and you could be given a ticket to watch one sporting event live. What would it be?
The 1959 national championship that Syracuse football won with Ernie Davis.
Really? I was not expecting that answer.
Yeah, Ernie Davis, absolutely. He's the only one of the top 3 44s, Jim Brown, Floyd Little, Ernie Davis, that I haven't gotten to meet and interview. I got to interview Jim Brown and got to spend...
Is he the guy is there a movie about Ernie Davis, a Hollywood movie?
There is. It's called The Express.
That's it. Yeah, I need to watch that movie.
So I would, absolutely. Like, it's helped Syracuse in recruiting, honestly. Like, you ask the guys, what did you know about Syracuse when they were on the recruiting trail? First thing they would say, I don't know much, but I know the movie The Express. It's so cool. Ernie Davis. So, yeah, I would go back to 1959 and go to that championship. I would actually go on the whole run with them and just be with the team on the bus. That'd be cool. So
time travel would be amazing.
Yeah, no, the timing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in America in 1959. My question back to you. So this came off of the Will Ferrell thing. So we are going to be making a film. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I screenwrite. And I've actually written 88 pages of a script, and I'm going to be working on a new one. So kind of going off of the ideas of that one, but I'm going to tweak some things. So my question to you is, we're making a movie. It is going to be a comedy. It will feature 3 friends. You, myself, and a comedian of your choice. You have to pick the setting of this movie. So you got to tell me who the comedian's going to be, what is the setting and what's kind of like our purpose. So I need you to, in the moment, just give me a real quick synopsis of this comedy film of three friends.
Kevin Hart, hilarious.
Okay.
Big fan of that guy. And we have, in Ted Lasso style, been hired as the coaching staff of the worst team in the NFL. That's your movie.
I'm so ready for that. I'm so ready for that. I very much. Kevin Hart and I have similar thoughts on things. And I will say this. They say to take something good from every bad relationship. I will say from one of my exes, we went to see Kevin Hart in Syracuse. And at the end of the show, she put her arms around me and whispered in my ear, I feel like I just watched you for an hour and a half. So I can appreciate and respect that. And there is a wonderful woman from Africa that lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she was my Uber driver a few years ago. And you can't tell from my lighting in here, but my olive is coming back on my skin. And I started to get dark down in Florida. And she looked in her rearview mirror when I was in her car and I was making her laugh. And she looked right at me. She goes, you know what? I know what I'm going to call you. You are my caramel Kevin Hart. And I said, I don't ever want to be called anything else for the rest of my life.
That's funny.
So for two Kevin Harts and a Stu, I'm very excited for that movie to come out. The worst team in the NFL.
That could be part of the movie, the players getting you two mixed up. You look
I am taller, thank goodness. But with that being said, I'm a giant compared to Kev. But with that being said, Stewart Flaherty, always fun, talking about life, breaking things down, and going beyond the pitch here in this edition of the Bobcat Buzz with the Bryant Stratton Syracuse men's soccer head coach, as well as the head coach of the Denton Diablos FC, whose season will be kicking off very soon in USL2. Stu, as always, I appreciate the time, and I hope you understand that I will take you up on that Texas trip.
Let's do it. Go Cowboys.
I want to thank you for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT for audio and video, and our live internet streaming radio that comes to you on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. And of course, once we go live, we jump into the archives, and you can find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And many thanks to the wonderful Brooklyn Pickle in Southern Pines, North Carolina. From New York to North Carolina, you'll find them on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina, right down the road from Pinehurst Golf Course that the PGA Tour knows all too well. That New York flavor, a sandwich, all of those great sandwiches, all the ingredients, all of the wonderful things we've been spoiled with in the great state of New York are down in North Carolina as the Brooklyn Pickle ventures down the coast to Southern Pines on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Let them know that DT sent you. And of course, many thanks to our team of partners in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, where you can go Monday through Saturday for sales and service and get yourself new and used vehicles. If you want to tour what they have on the lot, go to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. You also get the phone numbers there for their sales and service at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. And I want to thank Great Lakes Honda City for over a decade of me bringing home vehicles that I have enjoyed. So many thanks to Great Lakes Honda City, our exclusive studio partner. Carvel DeWitt, the exclusive home of the DT Dolphin. It's our ode to the Lemoyne College Dolphins. You will find our DT Dolphin Sunday on site, on location, down the road from Lemoyne College on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. Carvel DeWitt, the longest standing franchise in America with the DT Dolphin exclusive. And that is mint chocolate chip, whipped cream, and a cherry, hot fudge, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. Get it 7 days a week, and on Wednesdays, buy one, get one. The Wildcat Sports Pub, where we proudly call home to our West Genesee shows of over 8 years. With the West Genesee Wildcats coaches and student athletes, as well as their families, you'll find us at the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. GG Cards and Breaks, your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. A place that helps you be a big kid, no matter what your age is. And you can celebrate it with your parents, your grandparents, your friends, your neighbors, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. GG Cards and Breaks is a place for everyone of all ages, because our kid spirit should always, always be vibrant and strong. GG Cards and Breaks, where you can find them Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5, and of course 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse is the location. And monthly we have Trade Night, where you could buy, sell, and trade sports cards, as well as Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, and Disney Lorcana. Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world. You'll find Ma and Pa's on 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, with multiple types of freeze-dried candy, as well as cotton candy, lemonade, and a plethora of flavors when it comes to kettle corn, popcorn, and premium corn, like the Elvis, which is banana-covered popcorn with the peanut butter Reese's drizzle, the way that Elvis liked peanut butter and banana. All of the wonderful things that you see are made in-house at Ma and Pa's. The lemonade, the cotton candy, the freeze-dried candy, as well as the popcorn and kettle corn. Find it all and on 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And if you're out of town and you want to order it, and I just made your mouth water, go to Ma and Pa's popcorn.com and you can order today. Avicoli's, our home of our Liverpool athletic broadcast with student athletes, coaches, and administration every single month on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, at the corner of Wetzel Road and Route 57. And if you stand on the corner, you can see Liverpool High School within walking distance of Avicoli's, open 7 days a week. As well as Servomation, reinvigorating, re-energizing, reimagining what it is to have vending, whether it be at your high school, your grammar school, your preschool, your college, university, place of business, rest stop, airport. Servomation, the technology they have, the assortment, the variety that they have, and the quality of food. I've toured their facility in upstate New York, and you wouldn't believe the kitchen. There's restaurants that would beg to have a kitchen like this. Servomation does it differently, and I'm very happy to say that we are partnered with them. ServoMation.com. Go there for more information. Mother's Cupboard, the home of my breakfast sandwich exclusively in Central New York, 3709 James Street in Syracuse, 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. You will find the Cuse McMother, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and have it with some syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich and dip it in the syrup, and do it today. Chick-fil-A Cicero, the first Chick-fil-A in Central New York, and owner-operator Jim Rusakowski, a brother of mine. You don't want to miss out on Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A Cicero specifically is a step above, in my opinion. There's people that are proud to see you, team members that are incredible. Chick-fil-A Cicero, they do it to the nth degree. They break the mold, and you can find those team members in our series, The Light Between Us, which airs every single month. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and search the Light Between Us playlist. Canine Camp Dog Daycare. There's no better place to bring your dog out in East Syracuse. Daycare. Hey, we all got stuff going on, and sometimes we just have to drop our dog off so that our dog's not sitting at home in a kennel or just being at home by themselves. The daycare at Canine Camp Dog Daycare on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, across from BJ's, is the perfect place to go because of Lorraine, because of Chad, because of the care, concern, and the service to our wonderful animals. Head over there today, and of course you can call them at 315-437-7110 or go online to K-9KAMP.com. Pizza Man, who we absolutely love going every single month and having our Baldwinsville Bees broadcast at Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York. You don't want to miss any of those shows we do on-site, on location, including Off the Rails with Al, featuring college football national champion Al Romano, who played with Tony Dorsett as a Pittsburgh Panther, and Hal's from Solvay. A lot of great things we get to do at Pizza Man. Love the Bees and appreciate the support that you have for their student athletes, coaches, administration, and families. And Brian's Landing, a place that we love to go out to in Jamesville. Brian's Landing, the menu that they have is eclectic. There's nothing on that menu where you sit there and go, oh, okay, like this is what the menu is because these 5 things are alike. No, everything is different. Something for everyone. 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. The perfect place to go with a team, the perfect place to go with a friend, the perfect place to go on a date or bring mom and dad. Brian's Landing makes you feel like you're away from home on a vacation when you're just out in Jamesville by the water. Head to Brian's Landing today. And of course, many thanks to the Lemoyne College Dolphins, Bryant Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, and the Binghamton University Bearcats for being our exclusive multimedia marketing partners. Lemoyne you will find Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time during Dolphin Time. And of course, you'll find Binghamton on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during Bearcat Time. All of our teams are on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find our Lemoyne playlist, our BSC Syracuse playlist, and our Binghamton playlist. You'll also find the Dolphins, the Bobcats, and the Bearcats by going to WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and underneath the Exclusive Partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com as well as Syracuse.bscbobcats.com and BinghamtonBearcats.com. For now, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I say God bless, no stress, do your best. This is Wake Up Call. I'm Dan Tortora, and remember, God loves you.